Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters, your Magic the Gathering source that helps you command your budget. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all their support. Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Quarters studio. Welcome to the show. So if you saw yesterday's episode, is Joffrey the new Yargle, which, yes, does have a confusing title, but if you know Game of Thrones and Commander, you might understand what I'm asking there. Aegon, God of Death, who I like to call Joffrey, is a Yargle-esque commander. Not powerful whatsoever, and you really gotta work for your wins. But although the commander for this episode is also mono-black, it's the exact opposite. In fact, it's probably the most overpowered commander that we've seen in a long time. Regardless, like all the other Kaldheim spoiler episodes, I just want to say a quick spoiler warning. If you don't want to see spoilers, maybe go watch one of my other episodes, maybe a deck tech like my Atog one on Chair Tribal, because reasons. And actually, the backside of Joffrey is a chair, so maybe that's actually the new Chair Tribal commander that everyone's been looking for. Regardless, if you're here for a spoiler, let's jump into it. Now, Tergrid was spoiled late on Friday, and many people have been asking me what's been taking me so long to actually make an episode on this one. Well, when Tergrid was spoiled, I thought that there was absolutely no way that the translation on Reddit was correct. Because if that translation was correct, this is going to be one of the most overpowered, salt-inducing commanders of all time. But as it turns out, that translation was correct. So, here it goes. Tergrid, God of Fright, is a 4/5 god with menace that costs 3 black. She has, whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent or discards a permanent card, you may put that card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Now, obviously this sounds somewhat familiar to another infamous commander card, but we'll get to that here in a bit. First, let's talk about the backside of this MDFC card. Tergrid's Lantern is a legendary artifact that costs 3 and a black, and it has, tap, target player loses 3 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or discard a card, and pay 3 and a black, untap Tergrid's Lantern. So even just ignoring the front side of the commander for now, which we'll get to obviously here in a bit, with infinite mana on the back side of this commander, you just win. So there's that. Now this isn't the first commander that can just win if you've got infinite mana, and it won't be the last. In fact, one of the very first episodes on this channel was about a World Gorger Dragon combo built around Lizolda. But Lizolda isn't on the back side of a card that's even more powerful. Now when you see Tergrid, God of Fright, it's definitely reminiscent of one card. And many commander players are far too familiar with everyone's favorite Eldrazi, It That Betrays. It's a big Eldrazi with Annihilator 2, and it says whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, put that card onto the battlefield under your control. This is an incredibly powerful finisher in Commander. But in comparison to Tergrid, it costs 7 more mana, it only does half of what Tergrid does, and it can't be your commander. Yes, it can fuel itself with Annihilator 2, whereas Tergrid can't do that, but a deck built around Tergrid is going to have a lot of ways to use and abuse that effect. I really would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when this card was being designed. I imagine it going something like this. Stevenson, what do you got for me today?
Well, boss, you know how everyone loves It That Betrays?
Yeah, fantastic card. Great finisher. Everyone loves Eldrazi.
Well, I was thinking maybe we should put one in the command zone.
Well, that's a great start, Stevenson, but what else does it do?
Maybe it only costs 5 mana and it deals with discard as well?
Incredible, Stevenson! More, though. Give me more.
Maybe the backside just wins you the game for having infinite mana?
Absolutely genius, Stevenson. You are promoted. So yeah, that's probably how that conversation went. Regardless, although you could probably just grab a handful of sacrifice cards and chuck them in your deck and the deck's gonna be really powerful, let's talk about some specific ones that you should be looking at. First off, obviously Fleshbag Marauder Edict effects on creatures can be very powerful in this deck. When it enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature, and Fleshbag Marauder actually pays the toll for you. So for 3 mana, you get 3 of your opponent's creatures, and you're not losing any yourself. Also for 3 mana, there's Vona's Hunger, which is an instant with Ascend, and it says each player sacrifices a creature if you have the city's blessing. Instead, each opponent sacrifices half the creatures they control rounded up. So at minimum, this is a Fleshbag Marauder, and at the most, it's gonna be take half your opponent's creatures. For 3 mana at instant speed. And this isn't even the most powerful thing that you can do with this commander. Now, obviously, there are plenty of different edict effects in Commander that make players sacrifice creatures, but let's talk about sacrificing another, perhaps more precious resource. An old yet effective, incredibly brutal card in this deck is gonna be Desolation. It's a pretty old card, so again, I'll read the Oracle text. It's an enchantment that costs 1 black, and it says at the beginning of each end step, each player who tapped a land for mana this turn sacrifices a land. Desolation deals 2 damage to each player who sacrifices planes this way. You might recognize this card from my Zur Stacks deck that I made for the instructor over at Tulare Community College. Regardless, in this deck, it's even more impactful because now you're stealing your opponent's lands. That's right, if they tap any lands for mana during any turn, they have to sacrifice 1. And then you get that thanks to your commander. Oh, and if it's a plains, they take 2 damage. Now, obviously, this does affect you as well. But essentially, for each trip around the table, you're pretty much going to be sacrificing 1 land and gaining 3. So overall, each turn you gain 2 extra lands, and your opponents each go down a land. Yeah, that's brutal, and again, we're nowhere near done with brutal cards with this commander. So now let's talk about the other aspect of this commander, forcing players to discard cards. Because not only are their permanents not safe, but neither are their hands. And Black has plenty of effective discard spells that can help you steal all the permanents out of their hands. Let's start with a wheel effect in Black, Dark Deal. It's a sorcery that costs 2 and a black, and it says each player discards all the cards in their hand, then draws that many cards -1. So this is essentially a wheel for everyone, -1 card, and whatever permanents were in their original hand, you get into play. Again, for 3 mana. Another one to consider is Awaken the Erstwhile, which is a sorcery for 3 black, and it says each player discards all the cards in their hand, then creates that many 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. What a fantastic deal for your opponents! In exchange for a few zombies, you get all the permanents out of their hand into play, and then you also get, a few zombies too. And with no one having a hand, it's going to be very easy for you to win from there. But you know what we haven't covered just yet? Cards that just get you everything. Mono Black has a lot of fun ways for you to punish your opponents with this commander, including Smallpox, which for black, you can make each player lose 1 life, discard a card, sacrifice a creature, and sacrifice a land. So for just 2 mana, you've got the potential to get 9 things. Oh, that's not enough for you. Okay, well then how about Regular Pox? For just 1 more black mana, each player loses 1/3 of their life, then discards 1/3 of the cards in their hand, then sacrifices 1/3 of the creatures they control, then sacrifices 1/3 of the lands they control, round up each time. So yeah, you're going to be stealing an absurd amount of things for just 3 mana. Wait, that's still not enough? And you've got more mana to work with? Okay, how about Death Cloud, which just basically lets you steal everything. Each player loses X life, discards X cards, sacrifices X creatures, then sacrifices X lands. If you've got enough mana, you're leaving them with basically nothing. Okay, I think I've hammered this home enough times, but my gut feeling on this commander is that it is incredibly overpowered and salt-inducing. It's an undercosted it that betrays that does even more, and it's in your command zone, and the backside of it just wins you the game if you've got infinite mana. Again, when the initial translation came out, there's a reason I didn't believe that that translation was correct. Unfortunately, it is, and I hope to never see this card on the other side of the table, but now that I've said that, I probably will. Oh no. And with that, this show is coming to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts on this episode are, and as always, thanks again, and have a good one.